Citizens, it's that time. You are officially in the incinerator. Welcome to Incense and Common Sense, the live streams we do here on the Alert Zone TV. I would love for everybody to become an active citizen of the Alert Zone TV. You guys and girls already know how to do that. Shout out to everybody because this is a worldwide movement. Hope everybody's day is going good. I'm gonna give y'all a few minutes to get in here. When you come in, make sure you hit the likes button for me. Get the algorithm up. A shout out to Pause and Play Nola for being the first person to join in. This is another impromptu live. I was just checking some videos out and I just wanted to have a discussion about open carry. And we'll just chop it up about open carry. That's the meat and potatoes of this, but I guess I'll do like a 30 or 45 minute open forum with y'all. And see what's on y'all mind. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to go to the range today. I did get a little bit of fishing in Friday. I didn't catch anything, but just Friday evening, just the time to go out on the lake and fish and be out there and enjoy myself was worth it. You know, sometimes you just got to get away. For those of you who fish, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. We're definitely gonna have a discussion about open carry across the board because I think it's a very it's coming to a state near you. More and more states are going open carry. Yeah, you're right about that. Fishing is great for the soul. I enjoy fishing, man. I went out there, like I said, I cast my rod and my reel. I'm thinking about going back out there tonight and seeing if I can actually catch something. I just wanted the thrill of going out. Let me see something. Yeah. So give everybody a couple minutes. Like I said, as you come in, hit the likes button. If you catch us on the replay, hit the likes button, comment, share the material. Definitely. For people that's new to the channel, we got over 800 wonderful pieces of just all kind of stuff on this channel that you can look at. And as far as 2A, Nola Airways. Yep, yeah, Nola has always been pro open carry. Before, you know what? To be honest, Louisiana, that's why they call it sportsman's paradise for people who don't know, has always been very firearm friendly. When I was younger, you guys and girls know I've detailed some of my interactions in my encounters with law enforcement that I do on this channel about NOPD and some of the things I dealt with them as it pertains to being legally armed and their feelings about firearms, But Louisiana has always been a firearm-friendly state, and they've never put restrictions on us based on race. I have to say that. I just might as well go ahead on and address it. For those of you who don't know, Ronald Reagan, the conservative hero, was the very first person of national stature to basically start modern day gun control. Yeah. You know what? That constitutional carry is something they finally put on paper, but those of us in Louisiana, to be honest, of all the bad interactions that I've had with law enforcement, I've never had any of them get angry about me concealed carrying without a permit. They've never made that a big deal down there. They were more worried about your gun being legal than anything. So let me go ahead on. We at the 5 minute mark. Let me get into it. The reason I decided I wanted to do this discussion live and see what everybody else think. For those of you who don't know, open carry, like constitutional carry, has been basically making its way around the country. More and more states are going to open carry and a constitutional carry. Now, of course, you have to know what are the do's and don'ts, because some of these laws are written very vague. Some of them are very, very detailed. Like I said, when I did the other day about Oklahoma and the... Hold on, everybody. Hello? Should be over there somewhere. I'm sorry about that, everybody. I had an important phone call that I had to take. Let me see where I was. Lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Uh, Back to what I was saying about the open carry. It's made its way across the country. It's making its way. And I was going to talk about Oklahoma. That I liked how. Okay. Yeah. I've brought me a new stand so I can take out in the wilderness. So you will, guys and girls, will definitely see me being out in the wilderness a little bit more. I think I'm gonna wind up having to go to Louisiana and Texas because the action here in Iowa is not. It's not real like that, but. Okay. So, Oklahoma, when they wrote their self-defense law, they stand your ground law, they were very, very detailed about it. As far as down, they, as they say, dotted their I's and crossed all their T's. Well, with these constitutional carries and these open carries, you have to also do the same thing. You have to make sure that you understand and know the law on paper and basically how it's going to be enforced is always a different thing, but nevertheless, the reason I wanted to talk about open carry is I've seen these videos down in Florida where they said something about hunting and fishing. I'm not sure if that's still the law or they've changed it about open carrying if you're hunting or you're fishing or what have you. Yeah. So, um, basically they said open carrying, hunting and fishing. I've seen this guy. I guess they know who he is. One of the videos that opens carry while he fishing or what have you, and he keeps getting accosted by law enforcement. This has been an issue with everybody across the board. Um, it's a little bit more enforced against us, but I've seen everybody have these issues, and I just wanted to talk about open carry in the sense of not should you open carry where the criminals can grab your arm or what have you. I wanted to talk about it in the context of being accosted by law enforcement doing open carrying. I know here in Iowa, you can open carry when you're not hunting and fishing. Um, I've seen people do it. I've been in stores. Hell, I've open carried in stores. Up here, Tyson's. I've been in Menards. I've open carried. The barbershop. It's been places around here from time to time that I've open carried. I just had my little pistol on me and I was like, look, whatever it's gonna be, whatever. I'm not gonna. All right, Trusty Miller, what's going on? But I'm not gonna. I'm just saying, when it comes to open carrying, I think once it's put on the books that you are able to open carry, I don't think people should be accosted by law enforcement. Especially once you let them know that your firearm is legal. Usually you got 8, 9 cops, and there's always one or more assholes that show up. When they jump out of their squad car, they already got their hands on their firearms when they're approaching you. That can be taken as a threat because you are legally open carrying. You are legally carrying, and technically, that is a threat to your life. For somebody to approach you with their hand on their firearm, because the signal it sends is that they're going to shoot you. As I said, open carry, constitutional carry, the concept is great. Yeah. The tackleberry, yeah. The concept is great of open carrying. I think the problem with open carrying is most people, and then most people in law enforcement don't like that idea. Now, I understand there's people that'll call and say, that there's a man or guy or girl or group walking up the street with guns and what have you. I would like to think in my mind that law enforcement is in a position of, if they get this call and they respond, they always have to take their safety into account. On the other hand, my issue is I see too many times where when it's 8 of them rolling up, they're jumping out as though they're ready to shoot. Yeah, okay. And that's a good point. That's why I wanted to bring up this open carry and constitutional carry and concealed carry, since we just having this talk about why it's important for you to know the law. Why it's important that you have to understand the do's and don'ts about it. Private businesses can put no firearm signs up. Sometimes certain places you can't conceal or open carry in a park or things like that. So, and then the whole state. Okay, about Hawaii. Yeah, so when you dealing with that, you need to know what the laws are. I really and truly wish more officers would be briefed on how these laws are written and are to be enforced, because a lot of times they police these laws on their feelings and not on what is actually the law. And this is where you get these videos where guys start using profanity and things like that, because at the end of the day, open carry means open carry. Unless it's specified in the law enforcement, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, does not have the right to approach you and disarm you when you are openly carrying and you're practicing your rights under the law. Now, I know the rules is always, well, we just want to identify you. Unfortunately, unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the times, once you give them the ID, that's not enough. It's that thing of if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. If I'm open carrying and I explain to you my firearm is legal, I haven't broken any laws, under the law, I should be allowed to go. Unfortunately, in America, law enforcement, open carry, an AK-47. Mm-hmm. Uh, I'll tell you guys about a story of something that happened to me in just a minute. But law enforcement enforce these laws by their feeling. Salute, salute to you. Destro 777. Appreciate you for tuning in. Um, they police these laws by their feelings, not the law. That's why most of the time it turns into a shouting match and what have you, because a lot of officers, as I told you guys and girls, don't feel comfortable with law-abiding citizens having firearms. They jump in front of you and talk that Second Amendment crap. People like Grady Judd and all that. But when it's open carry and it's things like that, they never address it. They never address when their officers are wrong in those situations. So, you know, the open carry, constitutional carry only goes but so far. But I'll tell you guys about a story. So, some years back here, it was right after I got my AR-15 here in Iowa. In Des Moines, they had like a 2A rally for something. And, well, I decided to go down there as a spectator. Not so much that I was participating in the actual march, but I went out there. And I had my SD9 on my side. And I had my Bushmaster AR-15 with the sling on it, the 2-point sling, 2-position sling. And I decided to go out there. And as I'm just standing out watching, I feel a pat on my wallet from behind. So I grab the hand and switch it to my left hand and turn around because now I'm about to shoot. And it's an officer. So I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he told me, "Well, I'm just out here checking to make sure that you're legal." And I asked him, "Why would you walk up behind me? I'm at a 2A rally, so how many people did you try this on?" And he looked at me. I said, "You came up from behind me. What made you single me out of everybody out of this crowd?" I said, "All these people out here with guns." Now, of course, you know the obvious. All you had to do was be at the rally and it would have told you why I got singled out. And, you know, he gave the usual, you know what, I was just concerned and, you know, all that crazy stuff. And I could have elevated it and made it out of a big deal. It was a big deal, but that wasn't the place to take that up. But I just pointed out something to him. We all out here open carrying. I'm at a gun rally. It's not unusual to see people at a gun rally carrying guns, open and concealed. If you thought I was doing something wrong, all you had to do was approach me like a man from the front and say, "How you doing? Can I see your license," or what have you. I would have gave it to him. Now, I know a lot of people say, "Well, I wouldn't have complied and this and that." The problem with me is I've already been through all this and I know where this goes. I understand I have the rights on paper, but I can't trust the court and the legal system to back me up if I get put in a jam. Yes, under the law, I haven't committed any crimes and I don't have to show ID and this and that. I haven't done anything wrong. But I understand what escalation is. I understand the grabbing. I understand the intimidation tactics of them standing around me and having their hands on their gun, and oh, we got one that's not compliant. I know all this. I've been through it. It's just not worth getting shot over. Even if my family gets a $20 million settlement, it does me no good because I done left the planet. This is not me attacking law enforcement. This is me speaking on my experience and understanding as a law-abiding citizen that practices my Second Amendment rights. I understand the pitfalls and the asterisks. And I think that's something that we in the 2A community have to get comfortable talking about. I know sometimes people don't want to hear it. I always think like this. Today, somebody in this country made 18. Somebody made 21. They're going to be able to legally get armed. As I'm speaking, somebody's probably somewhere in this country buying them their first firearm right now. I don't want to give them a false sense of hope. Yeah, that's another thing. That's why we have these discussions here on the Alert Zone TV. For some of you who may feel like you hear a couple trigger words and you turn the video off and you make comments, or you go and say, man, that guy is crazy, that guy is whacked out, this, and that. You know, in America, we have trigger words. I'll tell you guys, there's a video. I had it sent to me, and then I just so happened come across it on YouTube yesterday, where this guy out in California, he gets stopped by CHP. Immediately, he jumps out with his AR-15. Hold on, everybody. Sorry about that. Hold on. Sorry about that, everybody. Anyhow, CHP gets behind this guy. He pulls over because he was driving at a high rate of speed. In his own video, he immediately jumps out with his AR-15. He's pointing at the officer. The officer backs up, takes off, and calls for backup. And then, you know, they come and do their police thing. And as I told you guys and girls, I go in comment sections. And I'm watching the comments, reading the comments, and somebody posts a very, what I thought was interesting comment. He said, you know, I get disgusted and angry when I see black folks saying if he had been black, they would have shot him. But after seeing this video, I guess I can understand why they make that statement. This was the perfect opportunity for law enforcement to use deadly force, and they did it. So that's why I say, you know, just things like that. You got to know the law. And sometimes, unfortunately, the law of survival tells you you can't win every situation. You got some officers out here that don't know the laws. You got some officers that they're enforcing the law the way they're told to enforce it. Then you have some that just don't give a damn. Sometimes you run into those that just don't give a damn. When you try and take the polite road and they still try and escalate the situation, sometimes it's better to bow out and fight another day, another way. On the side of the road, at the end of the day, what just happened to Tyree Nichols, I want everybody out there to understand that. I don't care what color, creed, race, gender, religion you practice. That can happen to any of us, and they understand something. Now they've figured out how to find a way to get a jury to let law enforcement off. This beating happened on camera, and those guys beat all of the state charges, the ones that decided to fight it to the end. So don't think that it can't happen to you. At the side of the road ain't the place to be. When you assert your rights, that you know that your rights have been violated, especially if you're able to record it. If you can prove your rights been violated, fight them in the courts. Yeah, the officer ain't gonna get punished. We know all that. But you live to fight another day. hey, I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't committed any crimes. Why do I need to give you my ID? I'm open carrying. If under the law it says you do not have to provide your identification, then you don't. Now, here's where it just gets complicated. When I was 17 in Louisiana, in New Orleans, one night I was coming home from work and the police stopped me and, they did their little police thing, the usual. If you from old school New Orleans, you know what I'm talking about. They did their little police thing. But where you coming from? I got a black button-down white shirt on and black pants. If you ever visit the city of New Orleans, you know anybody that got a white shirt on, black pants and black shoes, a button-down shirt that's long sleeve, they work in the restaurant industry. Period, point blank. Pause and play Nola. Know what I'm talking about. That is the uniform of New Orleans. Everybody knows if I see you in a white button-down t-shirt, shirt, black pants, and black shoes, you a waiter, you're a bus person, you're a food runner, you're a host or hostess, or you work in a restaurant. That is restaurant clothing in New Orleans. And NOPD knows this crap. And they do their little police thing and I tell them, I haven't committed any crimes. I'm dressed in work clothes. You guys know where I'm coming from. Well, you have to identify yourself. And I argue back and forth. I didn't. And this officer was nice enough to show me, no, we just got a law passed saying that upon request, you have to identify yourself. At the time I was 17, I didn't know a lot about the law. He showed me the basics of the law, so I gave him my ID and let him, run my ID and see, I'm not a criminal, I'm not wanted for nothing or what have you. And since then, I can be honest and say, every time they've ever asked me for an ID, I've just given it to them and told them, yeah, go ahead and do your little police thing. And, that usually hurts their feelings when you say it like that. That's my way of throwing a punch without actually swinging my fist. Here, man, go ahead and do your little police thing so we can get this over with. A lot of them know what you're saying. You're insulting them, and you're letting them know you're violating my rights, but I'm not going to argue with you. The one thing about it is, when they run your name, it's in a system. As long as you remember where you got stopped at, it's in the system as soon as they run your name. So you can always go back and say, hey, I was on Robinson and Jackson. That's the 6th district in New Orleans. And officer so-and-so stopped me and this is what happened. And for you guys and girls who don't know the story, I'll tell you the story again. So shout out to Miss Sybil Pierce. She was my 7th grade social studies teacher in English. And I know a lot of times public school teachers get bad raps. I know a lot of public school teachers, people talk bad about public schools. I can say a lot of the students when I was in school, was a reason we had such a problem. The disruptive 2 or 3 students in the class, but nevertheless, she taught me about the Constitution. And I mean, when I say we learned the Constitution, we took a deep dive. This wasn't no, you read the headline of the Constitution and then you don't go into the body. And, your 4th Amendment rights to not be illegally searched and seizure and things like that. She gave us a pocket-sized Constitution. I was 12 years old. And I was going to the Keller Park from all my New Orleans people, right there on Felicity, where you got the pit. Out of towners call it Partners Barbecue, but we used to call it the pit back in the days, back there behind Kelly's Market. The old 6th District Police Station used to sit right there on Felicity and Robinson. We used to shoot basketball back there, Keller Park. And I'm walking with a basketball in my hand. It's dead summer. It's got to be like July. If you've never been in New Orleans in July, you will have no idea how hot it is out there. And it's real humid. I'm going probably 2, 3 o'clock in the evening to go shoot some basketball. And I'm walking up Robinson towards St. Andrew, Felicity. And this officer stops me, and he does his police thing. He gets out of the car and he tells me, come here. Where you going? I got this basketball in my hand. I'm going to Keller Park to shoot basketball. And, he does this thing, well, I'm going to search you. And I told him that I didn't have anything on me. And, you know, uh, he said, well, I don't care. You better come here. I'm going to search you. And, I pulled my Constitution out and tell him he violated my Fourth Amendment rights because I haven't done anything. And the next thing I know, he had my shirt and he punched me in the face. My head went up. I saw stars. My head came back down. He hit me again. My head went back up. I saw stars again. And he explained to me he got the right to beat me. He got the right to take my life and nobody won't care about it. And he got a whole system that will back him up. Then he made me put my hands on that hot ass hood and stand there for about 15 minutes. And if you've never been through the hood treatment, you don't know what's going on. Melody, if you've never been through the hood treatment, you just won't know. Of after they've been riding in the car in the hot sun all day, when they make you put your hands on the hood, they don't make you go to the trunk of the car. You got to put your hands on that running hood. And if your hands come off there, they will kick your ass. I've been through it. So this is why I tell you guys and girls when I have these discussions, you got to use this one. This one to get you killed more than this one. Your feelings, sometimes you got to put them to the side and use your brain. At the end of the day, I'm trying to survive. So, yep, them old Crown Vic. Put your hand on there and you got to stand there. And just, look, if you guys want me to go into some stories about New Orleans and NOPD, I will. Just kind of an open forum. I don't want to seem like I'm here to run cops in the ground. So don't get offended, but I'm just saying, with this open carry thing, it just reminds me of everything else. All officers, as I tell you guys and girls, it doesn't matter what color you are. All officers are not happy with law enforcement citizens being legally armed. I mean, law-abiding citizens, I'm sorry. Every officer that carries a badge, they're not happy. And that even goes to white folks. I've heard them up here say it. If it was up to me, none of you motherfuckers have guns. You know what I'm saying? So, but that right there taught me that particular interaction. Yeah, it's better to outsmart them than it is to fight with them, because you can't win. You can't win on the side of the road. I've already been through it, the kneeling. For those of you who seen the movie Colors, back when the law enforcement would pull up on you and make you get on your knees and do like this. Yeah, we went through the same thing in New Orleans. It was the same shit. Jump out squad, the jump out boys, Tuesdays and Thursdays, watching them. Yep, Pac-Man, RoboCop, Curly Head, Blue Eyes. Oh, we had them all. We had names for all the most notorious cops in New Orleans. Whatever neighborhood you lived in, everybody knew who the ones that basically, if they pulled you over, you better run from them, because you get beat up just because. So, I paid a run tax. I talked about this. Tyre Nichols, unfortunately, it cost him his life. But the run tax, I've paid it. I've paid a run tax for getting caught. For those of you who don't know, code word for I'm going to kick your ass is run tax. If you run from law enforcement, you better not let them catch you. If they got to chase you, you're going to pay a run tax. I know on cops, they don't show it that much, or they try and justify it. In real life, there's a run tax. If the K9's got to come out, the dog is going to bite you. Straight up. The dog, they're going to let that dog bite you. I've watched guys hide under the house. I've watched them let the German Shepherd go under there and grab people by wherever that dog can get you and drag them from out of the house. I've watched guys run. When they bring K9 out, they come out, they give up. I've watched them get handcuffed and then they still sick the dog on them. I've watched them do that. I've watched them handcuff guys and make the dog chomp at them to the point where the guys get scared and they piss their pants or they shit themselves. I've seen this. I've had to run from a canine. For those of you who don't know, the old school houses in New Orleans was built off of the ground. Adolph Archie. Oh, I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about that. Pause and play. I'm gonna talk about that. Give me just a minute. I've had to get up under a house and literally hold on to the pipes. I was little then. Well, I ain't that big now. And literally hold on to the pipes. For those of you who don't know, the houses before Hurricane Katrina, the old school houses, set maybe about a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet off the ground. That was it. They wasn't jacked up like they are now for insurance. And your pipes would hang. I was running from law enforcement, and I climbed up under a house behind a central air unit, and there was a guy painting the house. And I was holding on to the pipes. And he was like, he whistled. When they drove by, he said they got the dog out. But there was a dog in the next yard. Knock on wood, I made it through that. But I knew if they would have let that dog go, that dog would have came up in them people's yard, that dog would have bit me under that house. But I talk about Adolph Archie. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. They don't like to run. But for those of you who don't know the story of Adolph Archie, so I probably was, I had to be either in the 5th grade. No. I had to be in the 6th, 7th, or the 8th. So this guy was accused of killing a cop in New Orleans. His name was Adolph Archie. The live feed showed NOPD at the Charity Hospital. And the emergency ramp. For those of you who not from New Orleans, I'm pretty sure in your city y'all got one. Charity Hospital was the trauma center. Everybody knew if you get shot, you get stabbed, a real nasty injury that's life-threatening, take you to Charity. If Charity can't save you, you're going to die. Because ain't nobody else can save you. They had the best trauma center in the country at one time. On the side street, they had the ramp where you drive up. The half circle ramp was an emergency. So they brought the officer there, and, he wound up losing his life. And they're on camera saying, let's go find this motherfucker and kill him. They caught Adolph Archie. I want to say it was on St. Charles Street. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hiding under a car. And they killed him. And nobody got charged for that. They made it clear they were going there to kill him. And they did. So, like I said, this run tax thing is real. We got to see Tyre Nichols run tax in real time. And the reason the law enforcement officers were basically beat to state charges is because you know what the theme is? He shouldn't have ran in the first place. It doesn't matter that the officers testified why they did what they did. The jury felt like he never should have ran. He should have just stayed in the car and just took his ass whooping right there. The fact that he was able to get loose and run, that right there made him guilty of a crime. So that's why I say, they got juries now that they can go find that'll be sympathetic towards law enforcement. So you guys and girls have to watch how you deal with these people. But, yeah, like I said, I just thought that this would be a good conversation to have about open carry because I'm seeing these stories and, you guys and girls have seen on YouTube the experiments that they do. Yep. They got tapes. You guys and girls have seen the experiments that they do, using the racial thing of letting the white guys open carry and then letting the black guys do it in the same neighborhood the next day. And then just showing how it's not only racial, it's just in some areas they just don't want you to exercise it at all. So, police in the hospital, yeah. I mean, like I said, this channel, I'm not anti-law enforcement. I'm pro-justice. I actually cried for a particular cop when I found out he lost his life. We had an officer, I want to say his first name was Darren, Officer Holloway in New Orleans, was one of the best officers you could ever. Let me explain something. Because, law enforcement don't get a lot of love um, on social media. Um, and everybody know why. And this is across racial and ethnic lines because I'm not racializing this. But Officer Holloway was one of those officers that Stone Killers was out there at his visual crying. That guy, I never known of one person to ever have a complaint about him. And he was patrolling, for those of you who don't know, he was patrolling the Florida Project back before Katrina when it was the bricks. Back when I used to live in the Florida. I remember he would ride around. He would speak to, hell, Holloway was one of those officers that when people gave parties and what have you, if he rolled by, they would stop him and tell him come get him something to eat, or they would fix him a plate. The guys that was in the street, they respected him. If he caught them and, he had to take them in, they didn't fight with him. They would even say, you know what, let Holloway take me down there. I don't want to deal with you. There was one named Jones. For those of you who might be from the Florida Project and see this, Officer Holloway was a really good cop. I remember my oldest two children went to Lockett. I remember Holloway would come down there when he was working the evening shift and sit out there by Lockett and ride up and down the street and cruise the neighborhood to make sure those children made it home and nothing happened to him. Like I said, dudes that was really out there had the utmost respect for him. And I'm going to tell you, if 50% of NOPD was Officer Holloway, you wouldn't have all the problems you have in New Orleans. Because a lot of people don't understand. Law enforcement got their hand in crime more than you think they do. But Officer Holloway was a really good officer. And when I was already living in Iowa when I found that out, that he had got killed, man, it broke my heart. It had me in tears. I mean, I remember that. We would give our children parties, or sometimes we would just have a cookout. Yep. Sometimes we would have a cookout, and Officer Holloway would ride by, him and Mercandale and a couple of them other ones, man, and we would tell them, hey, man, come on, get you something to eat, man. Come on, get you something to eat, man. Because they was doing community policing, they would come up to guys and girls and say, hey, you got a warrant out for you, right? If it wasn't a violent one, yeah. If it was a violent one, well, they did what they had to do. I remember they would tell people, hey, man, go down there and take care of your warrant for they send so-and-so down here and you ain't gonna like it. A lot of people had the utmost respect for him and Officer Mercandale. There was a couple more, I may not remember their name offhand, but they were really good officers because they did their job, and that's all we asked for. So I don't want to ever make it seem like I'm anti-law enforcement. I remember we had the police league. For those of you guys and girls don't remember, I know Pause and Play remember in old New Orleans we had the police league, the midnight league for basketball, where they would have games at midnight. And the reason they was doing that was to keep the young people out of the street. So it's one thing to say to somebody young to don't go do something, but you got to give them an alternative. They would have the police league, man, and them guys would go out there and some of this stuff that you see now with the cameras, it even got to the point where some of this stuff is just damn excessive, man. And like I said, I know I've been through some of it, but there was some good and some bad. It's just like now, it's almost unreal to find a story where you get law enforcement get caught doing their job. For a person, even I've seen people be handcuffed, that was belligerent, that had a big mouth. They might even pull their arm back. Once they in handcuffs, they in handcuffs. All that punching them and doing them all this stuff, what you doing that for? All this cussing and carrying on for what? I'm old enough to remember McGruff the Crime Dog, and I'm old enough to remember Officer Friendly. For those of you who don't know, before 1990, before the first Gulf War, we had a program, and I'm pretty sure all big cities had Officer Friendly, where officers would come and talk to us at school, basically, and encourage us to join law enforcement. Take a bite out of crime, yeah, McGruff and all that. We had a pretty good relationship with them. Hell, when we would turn the fire hydrant on, they would ride by, roll the windows up, and tell us to wash their squad car off, put the board up under the fire hydrant so we can shoot water on their car. The first Gulf War happened. After the first Gulf War was over with, people keep talking about what Obama did. After the first Gulf War, the next thing we know, we stopped seeing Officer Friendly. They stopped showing up in cops' uniform with the bell caps. They started showing up in bros and tactical gear. They was dressed like Call of Duty warriors long before Call of Duty, before a PlayStation was ever thought about. And we would look at them and say, damn, you see all that stuff homie got on now? What the hell going on? I mean, it looked like a military invasion when officers went to all this tactical stuff. We would see Hummers. We would see armored vehicles rolling through the city. When law enforcement jumped out, wasn't no more 38s and 357s. They had Glocks, they had Berettas, the pepper spray. I mean, the amount of weapons that they had on them. It's though is when they was pulling us over, showing up, they were showing up like they were in a little war, like they was in Vietnam or something. So for those of you who hear the story of Obama militarized the police, maybe that's in the rest of the country or out in the all right, good night, William. I mean, oh, it's that well dressed. All right, my brother. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Welcome, man. I'm gonna tell something since I got my brother Well Dressed Tactical in here. Shout out to my brother Well Dressed Tactical. And let me just go ahead on and say this. For people that's new to this channel, I did a video specifically for immigrants and first generation people that come from other countries about how I want them to practice their Second Amendment rights, as long as they can do so legally here. So I don't want nobody to ever accuse me of xenophobia, because I did a video specifically for them. Because at the end of the day, I want everybody that's law-abiding citizen to be protected here. But let me go ahead on and address this since I'm talking about the militarist police. If you're in law enforcement in America, you guys and girls don't have no idea, unless you've traveled outside of this country, how well equipped y'all are to deal with these traffic stops that y'all wind up gunning somebody down. Because somebody ran from you, you shoot him 10 times. You guys don't have... Well Dressed Tactical is from damn Jamaica. I hear that Jamaican accent. You want to talk about law enforcement having to go up against the worst of the worst and be underarmed? Hell, you guys have known. I just haven't got the permission. The next time I go down to Mexico again, I'm going to take a picture of me with some of these officers down there so you can see a lot of these officers in cartel strongholds don't even carry pistols. Yet every time you look up here, we got some officer telling you about he or she was in fear of their life. A lot of you guys are just punctified, man. You're not in fear of your life. You guys have There's militaries in this world that's not equipped like the police in this country. Some of the small town Mayberry police officers have more equipment than some of the people that have armies in other countries. You guys are armed to the damn teeth here. Y'all got these damn steel toe boots on. Y'all got all these gloves with the plastic, the hard plastic at the knuckles. Y'all got these tactical flashlights. Y'all got knives. Y'all got pepper spray. Y'all got tasers. Y'all got fold-up billy club. Y'all got access to weapons that people in foreign militaries wish they had. And every time we look up, you guys are talking about how you're so afraid of your life over a taillight. You're pulling your gun out on somebody that you stopped for a taillight. Make that make sense to me. I can understand if you're going into a situation where you've been calling this a standoff. You guys are on patrol, on motorcycles, pulling people over for speed, and the first thing they see is your firearm. You're a really sad individual if you will shoot somebody behind a broken taillight or a light on their license plate that doesn't work, or because they said something that hurt your feelings. You're a really low human being for that. I don't care what nobody say. So, like I said, if you're in law enforcement and you've never left this country, you ain't got to go far. Just go to Mexico. Go to small town Mexico. Go to some of these big cities and see. Law enforcement don't have nearly the resources that y'all have here. You guys are well equipped, and y'all always screaming about how you're in fear of somebody. I stopped him for a taillight, but I had to shoot him. Well, why did you shoot him? Oh, I thought he was reaching. Well, yeah, I told him to give me his ID, but he reached, so I shot him. Yeah, I got him handcuffed in the back of a police car, but I thought he was shooting, handcuffed in the back of the police car, so me and my partner shot over 30 rounds into a car, and then we had the SWAT team come out and tell the guy, raise your head up so we can blow it off. Give me a break, man. And this is why I say this open carry thing, the pros and cons to it. When I'm out hunting, of course I got my firearm, my long gun with me. Yeah, well dressed. That happened down there in Florida. This guy is handcuffed and he's been searched twice. He's handcuffed in the back of a police car. The initial shooter was allowed to resign and go to another force. And the female, well, she ain't did nothing wrong because her partner started shooting. She don't know what she was shooting at. All she heard was, my partner is shooting, so let me open fire. I love my nephew William Fratelli's show. I know he's law enforcement. Diesel TV. Yeah, the Acorn cops. The Acorn. Diesel TV. I can't tell you how many times I watch his gun collection videos. There is no animosity with law enforcement. All I'm saying is, come on, man. If you're that type of a person where everything scares you, maybe you shouldn't put on a uniform. The majority of the shootings here in America could be avoided. There's no need to get nasty and shoot somebody because they got a taillight out. Because you got to run them down and chase them. And I'm going to say this. Unfortunately for law enforcement, the tide is turning. These guys and these girls out here aren't afraid to bust caps at y'all anymore. For those of you who don't know, we had 2 Ohio officers shot the other day. Every time you look up, they wanted to racialize it, but it's across the board. More and more people have lost their fear of law enforcement, and they're choosing to shoot when they run. Um, all I say is just ask yourself, if the law says the passenger hasn't done anything, is it worth really messing with the passenger for? Is it really worth stopping somebody because you say their tints are too dark? Because y'all find the silliest reasons to pull people over. Is it really worth that? Somebody sitting in their car eating? Is it really worth possibly losing your life or taking a life? Yeah, you know what? You're right about that. Let me go ahead and address that since we having this conversation. We got 13 likes, 10 people in here. Shout out to everybody that stopped and gave us the likes button. I appreciate y'all. The women are starting to sling more and more iron. Everybody be looking for the men. The women have gotten just as deadly. Whether they be on the right or the wrong side of the law. The women are starting to lose their fear. This thing about soft targets, if you're in law enforcement, I want you to listen to me. Because this is directed straight at law enforcement. Whether you're a good cop or a bad cop. The circumstances have changed because of your rogue officers. Ask yourself now, is it really worth stopping somebody for the stupidest thing? Is it really worth it? Is it really worth taking a chance on? Well, I don't like the way he looks. Well, he's driving through this neighborhood, so he must be up to something. Is it really worth stopping somebody for his loud music? Well, I think his tint is too dark. I don't like the way he looked at me. I think he has a warrant, even though I'm not sure. Is it really worth stopping somebody over? Because you know what? A lot of y'all wives, a lot of y'all husbands are having to sit on the first row and look at your body lay in the casket over the silliest thing. Sometimes you guys and girls know it's not even warranted. It's not even worth stopping somebody because they got loud music. It's not always worth that. Unfortunately, these silly stops are starting to cost law enforcement. And I'm going to go ahead and put my neck on the chopping block and say the officers with the good service records are the ones that's losing their lives. It's never going to be the rogue officers. Derek Chauvin never would be killed out here on the street. Those types of officers, they never would be harmed on the street. It's always the ones who follow the law. The ones who go ahead and know that their counterpart, their partners are doing wrong, but don't say nothing, that lose their lives. The one who decides he's going to help you come up with the story, but he's not going to write a report. He'll just try and help you with yours. Oh, man, shout out to you, Brother T Electric in the building. We got the president of Gun Freak Nation. Shout out to you. I don't like seeing nobody lose their life innocently, unjustly. Nobody. I know you guys may think I'm supposed to hate law enforcement. I don't. I just don't want you guys and girls out here deviating from the law because you took an oath. All I'm telling you now is like I tell the criminals, like I tell the law-abiding citizens that refuse to get armed, I'm telling law enforcement. The times are changing. These guys and girls are not afraid of you anymore. They see it as they would rather be judged by 12 than to be carried by 6. And they're shooting at you. And guess what? Unlike the law-abiding citizen that you throw around a brick nap. You right about that. These guys and girls have these Glocks. They have these guns with these switches and these sticks on here, and they're not afraid to use them. Down in Florida, I see a guy Have about 9 cops with guns drawn on him. He's got a drink in one hand and a plate of food in the other hand. He's not even a suspect. They telling him not to reach. Stop reaching. He's got food in his hand. What is he reaching for? And then they tell him they're not the ops. It's funny until it's not funny. It's funny until it's you on the ground. It's funny until your children are sitting there worried sick about, is my dad or my mom that's a cop gonna make it? It's funny, them little texts that y'all send to each other where y'all make y'all plans on who y'all gonna go stop and you know the little code words y'all use, you know when y'all get caught in these scandals and all that and all your text messages become public. It's funny until it's not funny. Jim Crow was a joke before it became laws. It was funny until the ropes went up on the trees. It was funny until the coroner and the morticians had more work than they can keep up with because of the innocent people getting killed. Law enforcement. Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the range definitely. Definitely. Hey, I'm gonna use my brother Well Dressed Tactical. I'm gonna use his word. New business. I'm jacking you. Law enforcement, it's new business out here. It's not like the old days. It's new business out here. Because I told you yesterday I was going to go back and watch one of your gun collection videos from 2024. And I was laughing well dressed when you was talking about 2025 is new business. These guns going to be outside. You was talking about them safe queens you had. So when I tell you guys and girls I be coming through, I'm going to start letting y'all know for a fact in the comment section I came through. Just show you guys and girls that I support this movement for everybody. But it's new business now to law enforcement. You may not like it. I understand them police unions teach y'all what to say and they teach y'all what to do. That's what all this these consultants and all this crap. But just remember one thing. Your police union might pay this guy $10 or $15 or $20,000 to tell you what to say in court. He's not the one out there on the street that's going to be in front of that gun that might wind up taking your life. Just remember that. He's telling you to go out there and how to get around the law and be a rogue cop. His family is not going to be the one that's going to get the call about identifying the body. It's going to be you. And you know the saddest part? The saddest part, when it happens to the rogue officers, your wife can't even come out and defend your honor. Because we live in the age of technology. We live in the information age. When these officers lose their lives, there's always some officer on the force that's going to leak your bad service record. Remember that. The officers who don't participate in this might not say nothing. They might not even stop you from beating somebody up. But that don't mean they ain't documented it. And when you wind up being the one in the hospital and your service records gets put public that this is what you've been doing, remember you leaving your family in disgrace. That's all I'm saying. If the law says that we can open carry, we should be allowed to do so without fear of being shot. If I have my AR-15 on me, if I have whatever firearm I decide to carry on me, and it's open, it's a law that we can open carry. Why are you stopping me? Why are you threatening my life? Why are you threatening to shoot me and then tell me, well, it's abnormal? Whether it's abnormal or not is legal. And that's the thing. I'm doing something legal. I'm not breaking the law. It's like the Carmelo Anthony thing. When Carmelo Anthony defended himself, the narrative kept being why he just didn't give his seat up and get from under that tent. My rebuttal is there was other people out there. They didn't bother him. Why did Metcalf decide he was going to take it into his hands to go and accost this young man? At the end of the day, if they're not breaking the law, Why go and approach them? Leave them alone. Like I said, I was just having a talk with somebody when I was living in the Florida project. I was driving for Swifty. Never forget this. They was giving me a parking ticket. And I'm telling the officer, well, what you giving me a ticket for? I'm parked across the street. He was like, well, you gotta move it, blah, blah. He was all big mouth. These women come running from around the building and tell him that one guy has a gun drawn on the other guy and he's about to shoot him. They telling the officer come around there and he's telling me about a parking ticket. I'm telling him go tend to that. The shooting starts. The officer jumps in his car and goes the opposite way. He goes up to Galvin Street and parks right on Galveston Congress. He waits until more officers show up, then he comes back. Then he's out there rolling the tape out like he's concerned. So I went and told his sergeant, hey man, you know he could have prevented this? He said, what you mean? I said, I pointed to a couple women out. I said, they were around there telling him, this guy is about to shoot this other guy. He waited. Then he took off. I said, and then he came back. He could have just went around there. If he would have walked around that building, that guy 9 times out of 10 would have ran from him. He let this guy get shot. Thank goodness the guy lived. The sergeant wound up taking care of that little parking ticket that I got. I just told you guys and girls that story to let you know ain't nobody coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you out here. You need to be legally armed. Practice your Second Amendment rights. Like I said, for foreigners, I don't care what you do in your country. When you come here and you get your paperwork right, go get your firearm. I don't care what you do in your country. Just like in the streets, you don't have cowboys, you have ninjas. In law enforcement, you don't got a lot of brave men and women, you got a lot of opportunists. They're bad and they're big as long as there's a couple of them. And as long as they're armed. If you catch them unarmed, or you don't catch them in a roving gang, a lot of them will cow town to you. I've seen it. I've seen officers want to show that they was big and bad and take their guns and weapons off and get their ass literally whipped in the middle of the street to the point where people had to break it, get in between them and say, stop hitting him, you're going to kill him. I've seen that. I've seen dudes in handcuffs beat law enforcement. So they're not these superhuman guys and girls that can they run through bullets and they can run through walls and see through. They're not. They're human just like me and you. That officer that let that man get shot wanted to go home to his family. At the end of the day, under all them bulletproof vests, up under all that tactical gear, behind all the damn weapons that they carry, they're still human and they still want to go home. And when it comes down to them protecting your life, you know what? I'm going to go ahead on and address that too. At the end of the day, they want to go home to their family. And when it comes down to your life and theirs, 9 times out of 10, they're going to pick theirs. You guys and girls may not know this, but I binge watch Cops on Pluto TV a lot. I binge watch this to the point everybody know what I'm watching when they call me. What you watching, Cops? When I was a kid, I used to watch it for entertainment. As I got older, I actually started watching it for information and educational purposes. And there's something that lady law enforcement officers have real bad, and I think they need to stop. If you want to be a cop, ladies, because you want to make a difference, that's fine. Don't get up there and talk stupid about I want to be a cop because I can show I can do what the males do. You know why? We had a case in New Orleans. Officer Nicola Cotton. was a female officer. Right there, I believe it was on by the Greyhound bus station. For anybody that's familiar with New Orleans. There's the little store right there. The little Arab store where they sell the red beans and all that shit. This guy, you know, that's been known to be a hangout. This guy was walking and she decided to pull up on him because she thought he had a warrant. She wasn't sure. Well, she decided, I'm going to jump out on him and hold him at gunpoint, and I'm going to show him you're going to respect me. And unfortunately, this guy had already did time in a mental institution. He wasn't wanted for any crimes. He wasn't committing any crimes. He was literally walking up the street, minding his business. She decided she was going to accost him alone. He wound up taking her service weapon from her, knocking her to the ground and emptying the clip in her. You can look it up, Nicola Cotton. And they went ahead on and put it out. Female officers can no longer approach anybody alone. That's that girl power stupidity a lot of y'all have in y'all head. Let me say something to you female officers. Now, I don't care if you get offended. The only way you can do a law enforcement job like the guys is if the males that you pull over decide that they're going to comply. If they decide, if we as men, when y'all pull us over, decide we don't want to comply, you ain't strong enough to beat one of us. That's number one. Number two, you have to understand something. Most of the time, the encounters are in close quarters. If you can't get to your gun, what you gonna do? Yeah, Nicola Cotton, look it up. Officer Nicola Cotton lost her life. For those of you who don't remember, you had that female out there in Alabama. Was it Dothan, I think? Where that brother was changing his car tire and she decided to accost him and ask him for his ID and all this shit. And literally, he was on the side of the road changing a flat. And, you know, he started recording her. So, you know, she got her taser out and he complied. And she was threatening his life and telling him about your bitch ass and all that. That's because that dude complied. If that dude decided he was going to be combatant, he would have beat the fuck out of her out there. And then a lot of the guys that was laughing with her, the officers on the force in the chat, because they had already said afterwards they was going to pass the video around and make fun of him and all that, because that's what they do. If he had beat her ass, you'd have a lot of guys out here saying he a chicken shit motherfucker and he need to pick on the man. I want female officers to understand that. Stop letting them gas y'all heads up about we can do what the men do. No, you can't. You only can do it if the public decides that they are going to cooperate. If the public does not decide they want to cooperate with you, there ain't nothing you can do. There's a reason they don't have two females riding in the car together. There's a reason when they partner y'all up, they partner y'all up with a male. Because if you pull some of these dudes over, they already don't like the fact that you're a cop. And you going to talk shit to them, we're going to take you in the man's world, as men say. And I'm just going to tell you, the majority of you ain't going to survive in the man's world. It's just that simple. I know you may think that firearm is going to protect your life. There's always the what if. What if you can't get to it? Huh? What if when you put your gun at my head and I get out the car and you go to put your handcuff on me and you're alone, and when you go to put the other one on, I decide to tense up and I turn around and punch you. What you gonna do? You gonna do the Betty Shelby? Because she shot Terrence Crutcher from a distance. You know why? She knew if he decided he wasn't gonna comply with her, there's nothing she could have did. You remember the female officers that shot that law-abiding brother in Florida that had his Glock on him when she reached in his pants and she kept pulling and she actually shot him in the leg? Yeah, that kind of stuff. I just want you guys, I want you lady cops to understand men are watching it. Whether you like what I'm saying or not, you better take what I'm saying to the bank and cash it. Because the Nicola, I challenge you, look it up. The Nicola Cotton can happen to any of y'all. The only reason y'all can be in law enforcement is because if the men decide that we're going to comply, it makes your job easy. If you're alone and you can't get to your weapon, you can't beat us in hand-to-hand combat. You just can't. There's a video right now in Miami, TSA at the airport, where a guy decided he was going to attack a TSA agent, and it was the males that had to take him down. All the females were standing there in hysteria. None of them jumped in to physically restrain that man. You know why? They knew they was women and they couldn't handle him because they probably didn't have them guns on them. I just want you to remember that. Stop joining the police force, ladies, because you want to show that you can do what the men do. If you want to join the force to make a change and make a difference, we have no problem with y'all being in law enforcement. But you can't do what the men do. And if you ladies think that you can, understand it can end bad for you. Remember down there in LaGrange, or was it LaGrange, Tennessee? The female cop that was out there sleeping with all those guys, and when she got caught, she turned right around and said that they forced her. And she went from being a hot blonde to a nun. She let her hair hang. She put her little dress on. She put on her little dorky glasses and sat there that she was so afraid of all these men that she had messages she was openly having sex with. And I know that's veering off the subject. I'm just saying. Don't join law enforcement because you want to prove that you can do what the men do. Join law enforcement because it's a career that you want to have and that you're going to use your sense so that when it's time to retire, you can retire intact. Don't let Nicola Cotton happen to you. Don't let it happen to you. Because believe me, that quick it can go bad. Even when I watch cops, all the female officers that get involved, there's usually a guy standing there. They don't ever show them going on calls where they're alone and they got this belligerent guy and they can keep him under control. It's not going to happen. Don't let nobody take you from your family and take you off this planet gassing your head up. It's just that simple. So, I've been here running my big mouth over an hour. Like I said, I just thought that talking about this whole open carry thing just got me to thinking. I just wanted to address that, that, this was my feeling on open carry. On paper, it's one way. I wish it would be enforced the way that it's written. If you're in law enforcement and you may not like open carry, I can understand that. Y'all say y'all do a lot of things for y'all safety, but that's not true. Because if somebody is open carrying and they're not causing a disturbance, it would be very foolish of you to jump out on somebody with your hand pointed, with your hand on your gun. Thank you, brother, well dressed. It would be very stupid to jump out on somebody that's armed if you want to be safe. If he or she hasn't caused a disturbance, why are you jumping out on them? You're looking for a problem, and eventually, it's going to be new business. It's not going to go from filming cops pulling up on me open carrying. What's going to happen is y'all going to start jumping out with y'all hands on them guns, and people going to start shooting y'all. And what they're going to say is, I wasn't breaking the law. I haven't done anything wrong. This guy jumped out on me with his hand on his gun. I feared for my life, and they're going to open fire. It may start off with the first couple going to jail, but eventually that wall is going to crack, and people are going to stop not going to jail for that. If you're a cop and open carry bothers you, unless this person is committing a crime, leave them the fuck alone. Don't jump out and say, well, I want to disarm you for my safety. Because if you was really being safe, you wouldn't be fucking with them in the first place. I know they tell you we got a call. Let's be honest. Most of the time, that's not true. You guys didn't get a call. You saw somebody walking with a gun, and you decided, yeah, I'm going to jump up on this person and see what's the deal. I want to know. Even for people that conceal. Y'all will cost a lot of people that conceal carry. Because you assume they don't have a permit. But if they haven't committed a crime, why would you approach them and then say, I need to disarm you for my safety? You're not being safe. What you're trying to do is move the playing field to your side. You want that playing field lopsided. So let me jump out on you. Let me disarm you, and then I can really talk stupid to you and tell you what I think about, I don't give a damn about your rights and all that. Now that I got your gun, I'm Billy Badass. Because that's the way these stops go. I just say to the officers out there, if you're afraid of open carry and if it makes you concerned, do one of two things. Either you leave people alone, or why don't you guys get with the lawmakers, get with the voters, have some real law enforcement engagement, and sit down and talk with us and let us know what's your concerns about open carry. And don't do it through the police unions either. Because when we see the police unions show up, when the police was up, what's going on, Lee? When we see the police unions show up, we know it's not done out of genuine concern. It's done out of control. Because that's all the police unions teach you guys, is how to be in control, and if you need to use force, what to do to get away with it, and to be basically your bankroll. If you get caught doing something you don't have no business, that money goes to your defense. Don't come and talk to us with these fucking unions. We don't want to hear those guys. Come and sit down and talk with the community. Hey, they have open carry on the ballot, or law enforcement, the lawmakers want to make open carry. Here is our concerns, thus and so. Talk to us and then listen to us. You got to come in there with open mind. Because you don't like the law doesn't mean that you have the right to break it. There's a lot of laws I don't like. That don't mean I have the right to break it. It is what it is, and I have to accept it. If open carry is the law of the land, well, then you have to accept it. But when you enforce it, just do it across the board the right way. That's all you got to do. The right way. Just do it the right way. You can't say, well, this guy can open carry, but not that guy. I don't like his look. And then you jump out, and then the first thing you telling this guy is, I'm afraid for my safety. I want to disarm you for my safety. If you were worried about being safe, you wouldn't be jumping out on this guy, or this girl, or this group. You wouldn't. You're looking for trouble. And I'm just telling you, the times are changing. The times have changed. Some of y'all are going to find trouble, and when you get in it, it's going to be hard to get out. Leave people alone. If they have not broken a crime, stop running up on them. Stop telling them this foolishness that the police unions tell y'all to say. And these lawyers, these little shiesty law firms and consultants that y'all bring in there when y'all do y'all little police training behind closed doors and all that crap. And all these people behind Cop City and all this crap. Stop letting them send you out there on the mission. Stop letting them tell you to jump out on people and then say, oh, well, I have to disarm you for my safety. If they haven't done anything to you, why are you jumping out on them? Stop lying that you got a call of somebody walking with a gun. You got a call about concerned citizens when you know you did it. It's one thing if you did, if this person is hanging out in front of a fucking school with a gun. You got guys and girls literally walking up the street minding their business. and you're jumping out on them. And you got half the damn police squad there for somebody you know that hasn't broke the law. Just stop it. Yeah, so I'm gonna let you guys and girls get out of here. I've ran my big mouth long enough. I just wanted to do this live about open carry. And I wanted to just tell everybody, if for whatever reason you open carry, just be safe. Be mentally tactical. You guys know I go out in the woods sometime. I've had the DNR stop me. And, do the little DNR thing. And, if you follow this channel, you know when I used to go out to Timmins Grove to shoot videos. You guys know I've been accosted several times by regular citizens. The last time I went out there was a guy that was out there checking his thermoscope on his AR. And within 10 minutes of being there, I had about 5 or 6 cars pull up on me. And he wound up actually drawing down on the last 2 cars that showed up. And we had a discussion, and I just let him know people ride up on me all the time when I come out here, even if I'm in my hunting gear. And basically want to know what I'm doing out here, even though it says it's public hunt land, So you guys and girls have to be strategic. Know the law. If this channel is not entertaining, educational enough for you, or if I'm annoying and you like the subject, but you want to hear it from another channel or another source or read it for yourself, that's fine. I always say you can do your independent research. So if I tell you something wrong, or if I'm not 100% sure, you guys and girls can educate me. I just like to get things out there. As law-abiding citizens, as the laws change, we need to change with them, and we need to understand them. Some places they have think tanks that get together to go over these laws. GunTube is like the think tank for the Second Amendment community. There's a variety of channels. You got the Armed Scholar and other places where literally they don't shoot. They may show a gun here and there. All they talk about are the laws and how the laws change. And that's fine. I just like to point you in the right direction, and I like to tell you guys and girls about my interactions. Whether I like them or not, I'm still alive to tell you about them. I didn't like the fact that a lot of times when I got stopped by law enforcement, pretty much they would disarm me. I didn't think it was fair. I'm sitting here to talk about it, Sometimes it's just not worth the argument. You already know when you have a trigger-happy cop. You already know when you have a cop or cops that's going to escalate the situation because they didn't show up to de-escalate, because that's not what they're taught. Besides, that's not in their heart to de-escalate. A lot of times they tell you all little good sounding stuff. If you just give me your ID, I'll be on my way now, because it don't stop with that. If I show you my ID, next you want to run it. And then if you don't find nothing, then you want to ask me where I'm coming from, where I'm going. As though you want to catch me committing a crime or catch me in some kind of... Look, at the end of the day, rest in peace, brother Neely Fuller. He said this, and I'm going to get out of here. Anytime law enforcement stop you, you're behind enemy lines. And you need to conduct yourself in such a manner. I don't give them no shit. I always have the assumption, like they do about the law-abiding public. When they pull me over, they're looking for a problem and they're looking for an opportunity. When you as a law-abiding citizen get stopped by law enforcement and they go from your driver's license, registration, insurance, to asking you if you got anything illegal in the car and all that, they're looking for a problem, and you better assume that. Because if you tell them you don't have anything, the very next question is going to be, do you mind if I take a look? And if you say, yeah, I mind, then they're going to ask you, they're going to play their little game of, well, what you got to hide and all this other craziness. And when you tell them I'm just exercising my rights because I haven't committed a crime, they're gonna do the whole canine thing. They're gonna tell you you're not free to go. They're gonna bring the canine out there. You're not a canine trainer. The cop is always gonna say that the dog alerted that there's narcotics in the car. They're always gonna tell you that. They won't ever bring a canine out there and say the canine didn't alert that there's nothing. Because that's the way they're trained. Because you don't know. When the dog goes around the car twice and doesn't sniff and doesn't make any noise and sit anywhere and they walk off, they keep on till the dog barks. Oh yeah. Yeah. But they walk these dogs around and they keep on until they get them to bark or do anything. Yeah. So you don't train these dogs. Like you said, you see them give a signal to alert. You don't train these dogs. You don't. They're always gonna say that the dog hit. Because when they walk up to you, number one, if you got dark tinted windows in the back of your car, not the front, they want you to roll the back windows down, not for their safety. That's their way of searching your car and seeing if they got a reason to get you out of it. That's why they come up from the back, so that they can always be in control of the stop. And when they walk up to you, they've already looked in your back seat. And if they can't see anything and your front windows are not tinted, they'll tell you, put the back windows down. And when you ask them why, they'll say, for my safety, because I'm not sure if anybody back there. No, it's not for their safety. They're trained to look in your car and search your car on the surface without actually going in there. You may not like it, but that's what they do. And I can guarantee you there's nobody in law enforcement that can refute what I just told you. Because I've talked to law enforcement officers about this. I've been through it. It used to be a weekly, sometime a daily occurring thing in New Orleans. So there's nothing they can throw at me I haven't been through. You're right about that. You never know when they're having a bad day. So when they ask you, you got anything in the car? They never ask you if you got a legal firearm. They're trained to do this. You got anything illegal you ain't supposed to have? Guns, knives, drugs. Having a gun is not illegal. Yeah, you can do that too. Or garlic, or incense, or whatever else you want to put. But nevertheless, this is how this goes. They don't ever ask you, do you have a legal firearm? They always ask you if you got anything illegal first. Once you say you got a firearm, well, you've already told them that it's illegal. I've told an officer, hey, you didn't ask me if my gun was legal. You said, do I have anything illegal in here? It's not illegal to have a gun in Louisiana. And he actually told me, I was surprised. You're a very smart guy. You caught that. I said, oh, yeah. I go through this so much with y'all that I already know y'all routine. When you pulled me over, your whole goal was to search my car. Your goal wasn't that you think I did anything wrong. Because you're going to tell me I ran that stop sign or I didn't stop all the way at the sign back there. You're going to tell me I rolled that stop sign. I already know what you was doing. And he laughed. He said, damn. I said, yep. I said, I know all y'all little tricks. I know what y'all do. I said, I came to a complete stop at that sign. I said, there's 3 of y'all in the car. Y'all dope boys. Y'all are jump out boys. Y'all looking for dope. Ain't no dope in here. I said, so I know all y'all little games, you know. And he went ahead on and took my gun and ran it and gave it back to me. And, you know, all right, you have a nice day and let me go on about my business. So, you know, when I tell you guys and girls these stories, I don't tell you that because I think it's glamorous or because I want attention. I'm telling you because I've been through all these scenarios that you guys see on camera now. And I understand how to move. At the end of the day, these guys and girls, they're human. All humans have emotions. As Lee just said, they could be having a bad day and you can just be the one they take it out on. You just never know. So, with that being said, if you're gonna open carry, make sure you understand the full extent of the law. Make sure you know where you can and can't open carry at. Um, in the face of foolishness, you always want to be polite because you haven't committed any crimes. I know a lot of times we see people laugh and giving the middle finger and things like that. I just say outclass them and outsmart them and go about your business. Um, unless they escalate it, you don't have to tell them fuck you and this. In your mind, you feel like that. At the end of the day, look, have I committed any crimes? Section this, and this says this, and that. And if these guys and girls want to keep going and keep getting aggressive and keep doing their little police thing, look. Yep. Do what you need to do to survive the encounter. You can always fight it in court, or eventually they'll pull this on the wrong person and it'll cost them their career. At the end of the day, you don't want it to cost you your life. With that being said, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys and girls go. I'm gonna go ahead on and finish the rest of the night. Go kick back, watch some television, relax. Whether you open carry or not, I want you to practice your Second Amendment rights. Get legally armed, know your laws. I always say I'm a big supporter of having your concealed carry permit because you never know when you're going to need it. And trying to find out state laws that surround you, and especially if you're ever going to travel with a firearm in a car, in a plane, in a bus, anything. Understanding the laws of the states you're going to and making sure you're in compliance. We love to talk about law-abiding citizens here. My goal is to keep you safe from criminals and keep you out of jail from not knowing the law. Until next time, everybody. Yep. Until next time, everybody, I appreciate you for tuning in. The incinerator's been burned out, but we kept going. Until next time, stay safe, stay on high alert, and we out.